my dreams extreme. From the Eagles' pride to Philly's dream. Stay tuned and your screen turns green. Pattison Ave Phanatics take for brains. With fire written on veins, we spark the flames. Break it up high, no holding back. We're breaking the mold, stay on track.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. I'm your host, Tom Kelly. With me, as always, Alan Andrukavich.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me again. I love being here. You guys are
No problem.
You guys
No
are
problem.
my Monday night special, man. I love you guys.
Mike Fuji in the building.
What's up, fellas? Parade number 2. It's top parade number 1. We have my colleague and friend in the house from at the 50 and Inside Sports from the driver's seat. My man, Al Norfleet. Al, welcome tonight. How are you? I know you're still buzzing over that amazing Mission 59 Super Bowl EAGLES Eagles Go Birds Parade. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thank you guys for having me on, and I look forward to this conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome into your first go around on the Pattison Ave Phanatics Show. We're happy to have you here, Al. How do you deal with this guy's energy on your other show, man? Fuge brings it, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And that's what helps it keep us live, you know?
Appreciate it.
You know it. So Eagles Parade number 2 is in the books. Now, Alan, you were running a little behind your normal time for pre-show, so you don't know, but Mr. Norfleet here is actually one of the bus drivers in the parade for the Eagles.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure that was quite the experience over the past. I'm imagining you were there for number 1.
Yes,
now
sir,
number
absolutely.
2. In your expertise, how do they compare?
Well,
that was going to be my question, too. I'm glad you asked that, Alan.
Yeah.
Mike had asked that off air, and like I was telling him, I enjoyed number 2 a lot better because I knew what to expect. Number 1, I was just pretty much overjoyed or just exuberant from being there. Oh my God, look at all of this. But this one, I knew what to expect, so I was just able to sit back and roll up Broad Street and just enjoy every moment of it.
It's awesome.
It was I was on Broad Street for the first one, but this one I decided to kind of step back. And it was nice to watch the whole thing on TV. Like after the first one, I went back and I would watch highlights of the speeches and highlights of the kind of the trip down Broad and everything like that. But this one, I was able to sit back and watch, and it certainly looked like there was a lot more people there this time than there was the first go around, at least from my view.
Yes, that's what I was telling Mike a few minutes ago, and it was a lot more.
Go ahead, Alan. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say it flat out looked like it. Remember in 2018 when I took the boys and the wife down, we went right down to Broad and Pattison, and we were like 3. We got there late, in my opinion. It was like, I don't know, parade started at 11. We got there like 9:30. There was still room to get in. At this one, if I had gotten there at 9:30, man, I might not have gotten off the subway. I might have been stuck in there and seeing the parade out through the windows. You know, there were so many people there. Yeah, that's what it looked like down there. It looked like so many darn people.
There was a lot more drone footage this time around than there was back in 2018, and at some spots along Broad where they were making the turn around City Hall, it looked like there was easily 25, 30 people deep.
Yes.
Off the street, and that alone, like for me, the first time around, like I get a little claustrophobic. Being a man of size, as I like to say, I get a little claustrophobic. I always feel like I'm in the way anyway. I can't imagine being, 15 people back off the street and then 15 people behind me to get out of there. That's a little intense. Yeah, I like Al's seat sounds like it would have been a better spot for me. Just kind of taking it easy on the bus. That sounds like it would have been where I would want to be. Fuge, you were down there. Where were you at? You were Broad what? Bigler?
No, I was at one point, but I was mainly at Broad and Packer. That's where I got all great videos with, Jalen and Jeff Lurie holding up the trophy. And then Saquon came out, shook up the champagne, went all over my friend Bobby. He was in the front. His pants got soaked. Everybody in the front of me was drenched. And, it was, I didn't even know it, but Lane Johnson and Nick Sirianni came over as well, but I didn't recognize Sirianni. Lane had the Super Bowl jacket on, but it was just incredible.
I mean, Sirianni does just look like another dude from Delco. I mean,
100%.
It's another dude from Delco.
He has a very punchable face, from what I'm told from non-Eagle fans. He has that kind of face. But you know what? If for me personally, that feels like it's very befitting for a head coach of this football team in this city.
Absolutely.
To kind of go against the grain a little bit and get on people's nerves, kind of grinding people's gears. Now that it's all over, you're able to, I guess, over the last week or so, you're able to kind of step back now and look at this season as a whole, from OTAs all the way through until they're on the buses in the parade. And Alan, I'll start with you. When did you think that this season might have, what was that first time where you're like, man, we might have something special here this season? Because after the way last season ended, so you're coming off of a pretty devastating Super Bowl loss, then a collapse at the end of last season. So coming into this season, going 2-2 in the beginning of the season, everybody's kind of thinking, I don't know, but when for you did you start to feel, wow, this really feels like it has the makings of something special?
Oh man, that is a hard question. I'll do my best to there's been so many moments. Definitely the beginning of the
You got hit by Mr. Freeze, brother. Fuge, I'm going to kick this question to you, Al, and we'll get back to you. When did you think, Fuge, that maybe this season had the makings of something special?
It was, for me, like Alan was saying, it was really hard to tell. I mean, when they just started, when they went on this 10, 11 game win streak, that's, I think, when it really started picking up steam. The cohesiveness came together, I think, after that Tampa Bay game. I think that's when they started flooring it. Saquon, they went into New Orleans and just ran roughshod, and it escalated from there.
Alan, I'll go back to you now that we got you unfrozen.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we got you.
All right. Like I was saying, it's a tough one. Before the bye, we were all, I don't know. I wasn't calling for Nick's head, but a lot of people were. A lot of people were distraught and upset. I think the moment where I got excited, thinking that this was a possibility, was when Nakobe Dean saved the game. I forget who they were playing. They were in the Kelly Green, it was a home game, and he made that pick in the end zone and sealed it and signed it. And I was like, that was a moment that in my recalling, I think helped change the season.
Same game as a reverse hurdle.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
The same
yes,
game
it was.
as a reverse hurdle. So, yep. Mr. Norfleet, how about you, sir? Was there a moment that might have jumped out at you, or a series of moments that maybe gave you the impression that, wow, this team might have something here?
Well, for me, I think it was after we came out of the bye, that third game after the bye, and things seemed to have been flowing. And I was listening to some of the guys as I was transporting them, and they don't normally talk on the bus. They put the headphones on, they're all quiet. But these guys seem to have a confidence growing. And once in a while, Nick will say something to me, and he asked me, "What do you think?" I said, I think you guys are going. I think you're going all the way. And so it was that third game after they came out of the bye is what made me feel like they had something extremely special.
That's an interesting dynamic too, because you're getting to see them right after games. You're kind of getting that raw, almost how you can get raw emotions at a press conference after a game from some players, where you're kind of getting the raw emotion, and to be able to see that's actually a really unique perspective to be able to kind of see things from. For me watching it, we got to that point in the season where we were running the gauntlet, the Pittsburgh, Baltimore. There were several teams in a row where I'm like, hey, if we could split coming out of this, I think we'll be all right. And it was pretty far into the season, and then they actually ran the table through what I would, I guess, consider that gauntlet of play. And I thought to myself, with each game after that, it's like I'm getting less and less frightened by other teams. I was actually more afraid of Washington in the NFC Championship game than I was of the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. When we did our predictions, told you, I said like 38-20. I just felt I didn't even feel like they could stay on the field with us. And I mean, it's exactly how it seemed to go down.
Yeah.
So
that defense, Jalen said it himself. Defense wins championships, and I think he's very proud of that too. Like I think, I don't know Jalen personally, but hearing him talk about how well the defense did and what they did, I think Jalen believes that himself. That defense wins championships. I mean, he played. I love him. Okay, he is my quarterback. Said it before on the show. I'll say it again. All this dude does is win, baby.
Yeah.
That's it.
When you step back and look at it, the two of the guys that arguably got the most scrutiny in recent, especially in recent history, but in the history of this team, obviously there was a lot of people that got scrutiny for a lot of different things. But Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are up there on that list, and both of them have appeared in 2 Super Bowls. They both have a Super Bowl victory. Jalen has an MVP. It's like, are people just that off base with now? There's a lot of national media and not national pundits, so to speak, that feel this way. But there's also a lot of local people and a lot of local fans that were just ruthless throughout the last season and a half. Now, the collapse of last season is understandable, but I mean, the winningest coach and quarterback through their first 4 years in Eagles history, and they already have a Super Bowl under their belt. It's really like
2 and 3 years, right? I mean, that's that.
And 3-8, 3-8. It's just, it's almost uncharted territory. We're basically in uncharted territory as far as Eagles fans go. Which, I mean, if you're going to be in uncharted territory, this is the place to be, for sure. Let me ask you guys this, and Fooj, I'll go to you first. You think Brandon Graham's? It doesn't sound like a guy who's getting ready to hang him up. Do you think that he might run it back one more time? I mean, ideally, to ink your movie deal, this is how you go out. Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily sound to me like he wants to just. Yeah, what are you thinking, Fooj?
I don't think he's ready to go out. But I mean, if you're going to go out, I mean, you go out on top. But I think he's still got some gas left in the tank. I mean, if anybody that knows BG on this panel is Al. So let me ask you, Al, what do you think is hard to read?
I think he's going to go.
Yeah.
Simply because, 15 years, and he's been, after the first 4 years, he's been productive ever since then. And he made a decision to go prior to getting hurt. Now, I think if let's say we didn't make the Super Bowl and he was out, he would have wanted to come back, and then because nobody wants to go out like that.
Right.
But Brandon is a very smart dude. He got the Super Bowl. He got his second ring. And I don't think he wants the possibility of not being able to produce next year. So I think that he's nothing that he said to me, but
Right.
just from knowing him, I think he would said, okay, I came back. I did what people didn't think I was going to do. We got the ring. So let me go out.
It's
That's
like a
my
Cinderella story.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, exactly.
He's rating his own 30 for 30.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
just going out on top. I mean, I love BG, dude. Got his jersey. We got the strip sack autograph upstairs. You know, he's my favorite. It's going to be heartbreaking if he does retire, but at the same time, I completely. You can't take anything away from what this man has given to this team and what he's meant to this organization, to fans like us, to the people on the team. Brandon Graham is by far one of my all-time favorite Eagles, like just hands down.
Vegas sports scene checking in. That's our friend of the show, Rob Hefner, my man Rob. Good. Thank you for checking in, my brother. Yeah, but to like, you have to compare. Brandon Graham is in the same ilk as the Chuck Bednareks, and I mean these just long-time, all-time Eagles. And if there's an all-time Eagle, he's the longest tenured player. Played the most games. Has 2 Super Bowl rings.
Is he the only? Is he the only Eagle to have 2 Super Bowl rings? Is he the only one?
Lane Johnson, Jake Elliott.
Yeah.
But Lane and Jake were from the
Jake
2017.
Elliott,
Okay.
The long snapper. His name's escaping
Lovato.
me right now. Yes, Lovato.
Oh, there's like a handful of guys. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
from
yeah.
that
There's
17, 18 team.
Yeah,
Good.
there's a few. I think 4. I think there was 4.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, 4.
Okay.
But as we sit here and Al, you don't, I started this show. I remember tailgating an Eagles game, and for those who aren't, I'm from South Philly originally, and for those who aren't from South Philly, FDR Park, we call it the Lakes if you're from South Philly. And I remember walking from FDR Park, and I get to Broad and Pattison, and I said, we're Pattison Ave Fanatics. And I was going into an Eagles game. It was me and a couple of my buddies. And they were like, that's funny. And that name always stuck with me. And that's why this is the name of the show. And if I could go back in time and tell that guy everything you're doing, every tear that you're shedding with all of it, it's all going to be worth it. If you could go back and tell that sports fan, that kid that's sitting on my dad's lap watching the Eagles as a kid, like, it's going to all be worth it. All of your unwavering, undying support will all be worth it one of these days. And I would love to be able to go back in time and tell that guy, but it's, 2-time Super Bowl champs. It's almost surreal, and now we're going into an off season where you're one of the youngest teams in the NFL. At so many key positions. It's who's to really say that you can't run this back another time or two. As far as guys that are leaving the team, who is a must? And Alan, I will start with you on this. Who is actually? It's 8:50. Al, I will start with you because I know you gotta run soon. For a re-sign to have come back, guys that are free agents, who is a must re-sign for you? If you had to pick one guy that, like, I'm re-signing that guy no matter what I have to do.
Well, you made it tough when you say pick one.
I know.
I would say Zach Vaughn.
Yeah, that's mine.
And the next one, well, I won't go to the next one, but yeah, my choice would be Zach Vaughn.
Norm, I will get to that one in the second half of the show. I actually have that one written down. How about you, Fuge? If you got, now you can't pick Zach Vaughn, so you got to go somebody else. Who would you, if you had to keep one guy and Zach Vaughn's off the board? Who are you bringing back?
Milton Williams.
The man wants to get paid. You heard him.
Yeah.
He said he wants to get paid. Alan, how about you?
Oh man. Okay. Zach Bond's off the table.
Yeah.
Because obviously you can't put out all this tape out there for other people and give this man away. This man has 151 tackles on the season. He's amazing. Jeez. I don't know. Where's Blankenship on his deal?
Nah, he's still. I think we still got him for at least another year.
All right, let's go. Let's go Becton. Is Becton a free agent?
Yes.
The left tackle position? Let's go Becton.
That would have been my second
Bart.
one.
Let's keep him home. Let's keep him here.
He man, you know, you love a good story where somebody's labeled a bust, and then I just don't think he got a fair shake in New York. And I mean, you know, Philly and New York are very similar. All of these markets, the Bostons, the New Yorks, the Philadelphias, the DC area, it's all that East Coast kind of. The fans will just grind you up, and I just don't think he got a fair shake in New York. And I would love to see them. If I could pick, Bond would be 1, and Becton would be 1A for me.
Yeah,
I think.
Yep, I agree with that. As much as I like Milton Williams and Sweat, they both Sweat's going to get paid. He's looking at what 18, 19 million after his performance in that Super Bowl. What do you have? 2.5 sacks and just a great season in general. So he's going to get paid.
The Niners
are here or somewhere else.
I've heard rumors that the Niners might be looking to release Hargraves. You could bring him back.
He's already been released.
Did they release him already?
They released him back in late November, sometime in December.
Really?
Wow.
Shows how much I pay to San Francisco.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He got hurt during the season.
And maybe Sweat signs a big deal, and you bring back Hargraves at a team-friendly price.
How about Reddick for like a couple easy mil? Like, I don't know. Hassan, come back. We'll pay you 3.5.
I doubt it.
I don't know. And look, it's not.
He wants money too, but he didn't get it in New York, right? He didn't perform in New York.
Right. So, it's not due to a lack of performance here. It's just the kind of stink that he made. Look, you know, some of these guys go about it, and it's just my opinion. Obviously, this is an opinion-based thing here that we do. You know, you think you deserve a certain amount of money. You know, there's ways to go about it, and I don't think he necessarily chose the best path.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think we all agree on that. Yeah.
Could I ask you a question before I have to get off?
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Myles Garrett?
He's my number one target on my radar in the offseason, you know, non-draft wise, free agent. I would love to see him in this defense, especially when, you know, after you saw what they did in the Super Bowl, not blitzing, just using your front four, he would be a phenomenal addition to an already formidable defensive line. I would love to see that.
I think it's going to take Eagles are going into the draft this year with 7 draft picks, and to me, that's all they have. I mean, they gave up 2 or 3 to move up for DeGene. They gave up, I think, 2 picks for Dotson. So
but 7's not bad depending on where they are.
But the thing of it is, I think it just depends on Myles Garrett's contract and, whatever draft capital you're going to have to give up.
Paul Spencer checking in from Out of the Box Sports. Those guys, the Sully Squad's on right now over at Out of the Box Sports, folks. You can check those guys out as well.
Now, let me throw this out there. To sign Myles Garrett would maybe possibly Jalen, Lane, maybe I don't know. I'm going to throw out Saquon. Some of these restructure, maybe move money to a later year, this, that, and the other thing to open up the cap space to get Myles Garrett in here.
We know Lane has done it.
right? And let's not lose, Zach Bond.
Right.
Get Miles and Zach Bond. And hey, William, sorry, bud, you did great. Love you. You got your ring. We'll see you. Maybe we'll see you down the line.
Right.
Well, I think he's gone anyway because he's Williams, because he's gonna want more money than I think what we're capable of dealing with right now. I think we got like about 18 million right now, and I know the cap is gonna go up.
Right.
But then they got 2 or 3 other pieces they got to deal with. So I think William is gone.
Yeah, I think on Howie's priority list, he's probably outside the top 5 of people really that Howie would focus on bringing back. And then out of that top 5, you're probably going to have to narrow that down to 2 or 3.
Right.
Yes.
I ideally. But like you said, the salary cap's going up, but and we're at 18 right now. I think we all know at this point that Howie works his magic like not many can, and I'm sure we'll be sitting with more than 18. But I'm sure he'll be paying certain people, and the hopes is Zach Bond 1 and Becton 1A for me.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Pull out that Hogwarts wand, man, and use that magic, baby. Pull it out and use that magic.
It.
Somehow he does it. Somehow he does it. He got us out of that Carson contract, and then
Norm thinks every free agent in the NFL is going to Washington, by the way.
Washington has like 60-70 million.
They do. They do.
I mean, New England has over $100 million to play with. I think they're at the very top of the food chain. As far
81 million.
Wow.
81 Washington has?
Yeah.
Damn. I didn't think it was that much.
That's Howie better pull out a couple of wands. Fix those railings.
Yeah, absolutely. Do something with that 81 million. Jeez, oh man. God almighty.
That's
and
awesome.
You almost killed our quarterback.
But technically, it was Eagles fans that almost killed our quarterback.
No. I still blame the Redskins. That was their stadium.
Norm and I have had this argument where I'm like, well, people shouldn't be leaning over the railings. I'm like, that's what they're there for, to stop people from accessing the field. Well, look, Mr. Norfleet, I know you got to skedaddle and get on out of here. Just want to thank you so much for joining us tonight and jumping on. We really appreciate it.
No problem. My pleasure. I wish I could
Al, thank you so much.
I'm really enjoying it, man.
We'll get you back in here for sure. The door is always open over here.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you guys so much, man.
Thank you.
Thank you Wednesday.
All right. Yes, sir. All right.
Go Birds.
Absolutely. Yes. Everybody out there, make sure you check out Al and Fuji this Wednesday on at the 50 with Fuji and Fleet, right?
At
Fuji?
the 50 with Fuji and Fleet.
Love
it. Dope. All right, cool.
All right. Thank you guys a lot, man.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
So, for the next half of the show here, when we started looking ahead a little bit, I want to ask you guys a question. Is Howie Roseman a first ballot Hall of Famer at this point now? Do you think as a GM, what else does the guy have to do in order to
I want to hear your opinion.
Oh, you want to hear me first? All right. Yes. Because if we can go back to Chip Kelly wanted all control, right? Mm-hmm. And Jeffrey Lurie was smart enough and knew well enough to keep this man in-house and not allow him to go somewhere else. That all fell apart. We all watched that nonsense. How he came in, made some boneheaded mistakes, at first. But what he's done with the draft in the past 2-3 years, what he's done with just the overall scope of the team, first ballot all the way, man. This guy has 2 Super Bowl rings. He's been to 3. And God willing, he's going to have another one next year.
Man, I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves with that.
Yeah,
it sure feels like. Look, at the end of this season, I don't. There wasn't a team on this planet, I think, that could have touched the Eagles. By the end of by the Super Bowl, they literally had it all together. It was like everything just fell into place.
Yep.
And watching this team, and you can be a Commanders fan, you can be a Cowboys fan, you can be a Steelers fan, you could be a fan of any team out there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me what you saw. You can't tell me it was a fluke. You can't tell me that they got lucky, because the way this team was constructed, everybody knew every game they played, they had the most talent on the field. Now I don't know what next year's going to bring with $81 million under the cap in Washington, and the team that they already had. They were in the NFC Championship game this year, so they're going to be right there at your heels, if not right there next to them. So yeah. And as much as I can't stand the Cowboys, you never know from year to year what you're going to get from them.
I don't think you really know. I mean, let's just say this: everybody's gunning for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yep,
they're the team to be hunted, and 31 other teams are going to be nipping and gunning for this team. It's. I mean, it's. I'm not saying it's not a dynasty, but it's too early to. I don't want to say it's too early to say that, but. For like you said, Tom, it changes from year to year. Teams got to draft well. Free agency. We're already losing coordinators. Like, who's the next offensive coordinator going to be?
That was actually my next question.
That's a great.
Now, I've heard a name floated out there that I get really excited about. And it was Frank Reich. I heard Frank Reich's available. Has history with Nick. He doesn't have history with Jalen, but a guy who's come in, who's done it in this city at this level, won a Super Bowl as an OC. I think he's probably tops on my list right now. I've heard the OC from Notre Dame's name thrown out there. I've heard a couple other guys not as popular as Frank Reich, but I personally would love to see Frank Reich back in the OC spot here in town.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. Because, to be honest with you, Jalen is the system, right? So no matter who you put in there, as long as you coach to Jalen's specifics, right? I don't think there's anyone who can stop us. Obviously, you gotta, it's going to be a different realm for Frank, right? He's going to have a running back to the caliber that we have now. He's going to have the offensive line, which is undoubtedly the best in the league. So yeah, I think Frank Wright, if he came back, he could do a lot of this Eagles offense could do a lot of damage with him play calling and scheming things up.
I mean, look, go ahead. I'm sorry, Fuj.
No, go ahead. I'm
just saying, look at the talent that's coming back. All of your offensive stars are coming back. It's with you imagine a guy who's proven his OC is Frank Reich, having Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, and even on a smaller level, and Jahan Dotson, like.
So it's a magnificent dream it's like, oh my God, this is the opportunity you're giving me with these people. Why wouldn't?
And Frank Reich strikes me.
I take the job.
Well, Frank Reich strikes me as the type that he's not going to come in and rock the boat too much. He's going to find out what Jalen likes to do. Obviously, put his own spin on it, but I mean, look at the success that they had this year. Yeah. Kellen Moore got a lot of flack. Paul Spencer, who checked in, Paul knows him intimately. Paul's Cowboys fan, knows him as his OC. He came with some reservations. everything that I saw this year, I don't know. Maybe it was the different talent that he had to pull from. Not saying that the Cowboys don't have some solid talent. Not saying that the Chargers didn't have good talent on their team, but I mean, when you break it down, X's and O's on paper, the Eagles had the best team from jump this season, and they filled out and made it look that way by the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Well, there's another name that's been kicked out that's close to Sirianni too, and it's the Eagles passing game coordinator Kevin Patullo.
Yeah, Norm just put that.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
He already knows the players. He already knows the inner workings.
I know, the Eagles quarterback coach is also interviewing for the OC job in New Orleans, and I think he came here with Kellen Moore too. So we're gonna be looking for another QB coach probably, because he's most likely going to get that job.
Right.
But Patullo, look, if I can't, I would love to see Frank Reich here. But if I can't get Frank Reich, I wouldn't mind having somebody that's already in house. Knows this team as good as anybody, kind of sliding into that role. However, same thing happened with Brian Johnson, and that blew up in our face the last half of last season.
Well, I think they waited too long for that to happen.
Right.
Because remember, they wanted to promote with the D-backs coach to be the defensive coordinator after Gannon left. I forget his name. He went to Baltimore.
Yep.
And he went to Baltimore to be the D-backs coach. Then he was in Tennessee to be the defensive coordinator. I forget his name, but
and then they brought Patricia in right at the end of the season there, and he made it even worse. It was even worse.
Yeah.
And everybody when he came, I don't think there was doing this show, watching that unfold.
Right.
I don't think there was a person that I talked to that were like, Matt Patricia, yeah. Well,
nope.
I think everybody was like, oh, we're in trouble.
Slay didn't get along in Detroit. Slay couldn't stand it.
Sully, Joe Sullivan checking in. What's up, Sully?
What's up, brother?
Thanks for checking in.
My man Sully, go check out the boys at the Sully Squad. They were just on earlier. We gave you guys a little plug there, Sully. I was tuned into your show right before we jumped on air. But yeah. So like I said, as far as that goes, I would like personally to see Frank Reich kind of take the reins back as the Eagles OC. Did anybody else catch at the end of the Super Bowl? Carson Wentz looked like he was running off the field to try and get away from Jalen Hurts. Did anybody else catch that?
No.
I didn't catch it live, but I did see all the post photos of like Jalen's walking towards him, and he is completely I'm turning my back, and I'm out. I'm looking for the exit. Where is the nearest exit?
Sully seen it. Yeah, it was that was look, and I don't have anything against Carson Wentz. I mean, the guy gave us.
He helped us get our first one.
Yep. The guy had a pretty damn magical season that season too, and it was like everything he threw seemed like it found its way in the receiver's hands. Yeah. Just how when you started to hear the kind of rumblings, and that's how it starts. When Carson thought he saw Bigfoot. And it's when you start to hear the rumblings about the dissension in the locker room and things of that nature, and then when Jalen takes over, and he's instantly got the support from guys like Kelsey and guys like Lane Johnson, it kind of tells you something.
Yeah.
And now, it's this magical season has ended, and now there's the okay. It's almost like, like yesterday was the first Sunday without football, and I don't know, what was it, like, 7 months? I don't know, however many.
Kind of bummed. Like, what do we do now?
Right. And look, full squads showed up today down in Clearwater. I'm super excited about this Philly season. We got guys coming back that were guys coming back from injury. Barkley or Hurts for the cover of Madden 26. Nah, Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels for the cover of Madden 26.
Jackson.
Yep. There's no way it's going to be an eagle. There's no way they put a friggin' eagle on the
I don't
cover
even
of
want
that.
to think about
No
that.
way.
I don't
No
even
way.
want to think about that logic. Oh no.
Lori's comments about Jalen were very telling. They drafted Jalen to be the guy. It
Yeah.
does. It did seem that way. I don't think I've ever seen.
Well, I remember that
I just
night.
Go ahead, Fuge. My bad.
I just remember that night. It was COVID. I was down this very basement, and of course, we had to take Jalen Rager over Justin Jefferson. Not to bring it up, but like Jalen Hurts, like
It happened.
pick, like, where did that come from? Like everybody was just like dumbfounded.
Yep.
Like, where did this move come from?
Yep. I remember watching. We were doing a draft over at Edge of Philly Sports at the time. We were doing a Norm, don't start, or I'll come back to St. Clair. Kick your ass. That's my man Rob Hefner. We were doing a draft show at Edge of Philly Sports. When he gets drafted, everybody was just like kind of scratching their head. But the Eagles knew something. The Eagles knew something we didn't at the time.
Now, do you think that they were concerned, right? Because when they drafted him now, in 2017, Carson had this season, right? Got us to the Super Bowl, did his thing, got hurt against in the Rams game.
Mhm.
Nick Foles comes in, strikes lightning in a bottle. 2018-2019 season, Carson comes back, has another great season, gets hurt again, right? Clowney, right? Clowney
Yep.
knocks him into the ground, knocks him out.
Mm-hmm.
Foles comes back in again. We're like, oh, here we go. And lightning almost struck again. We're dropped pass away from it. You think
Alshon Jeffries drop pass against the Saints.
So do you think the Eagles took Hurts because they didn't trust the fact that Carson could stay healthy instead of taking Hurts to replace Carson? That's kind of how I feel. I feel like they took Hurts thinking that Carson, well, in the past 2 years, he hasn't finished.
Right.
He hasn't finished, but we need a reliable backup because, obviously Nick isn't,
They
Nick's
knew
gonna,
they couldn't. They go ahead, Fuji.
I think the camaraderie in that locker room, because if you go back to that year as a joke, Chris Long and maybe it was Lane. I mean, they said that they had this, I don't know, St. Nick statue in their lockers, and picture statue of Nick Foles like a saint. And I think I don't think Carson Wentz mentally ever just recovered. Like, I just think Foles winning the Super Bowl just shot his confidence. And if you remember the last year in 2019, he never gave a press conference. Like, after he got benched, for Jalen Hurts, he basically hightailed it out of Philly without even talking to the media. Like, he just basically up and quit and just couldn't handle it anymore, I think.
Now think about the quarterback position in this town. There's no, I don't care, the goalie on the Flyers, you could be the center of the point guard on the Sixers. You could be the 4-hole hitter on the Phillies. There is nothing is going to get scrutinized more than the quarterback in this town. And then you have the season that he had. He goes down, and when you come back the next year, there's a statue of the backup quarterback outside the stadium.
Yeah.
Speaking of statues, I don't know many guys that many quarterbacks that are out there that wouldn't have been thrown off by that. It just kind of showed his mental makeup, so to speak.
But then again, like, he comes back, that statue's there. That season, he plays lights out again until Jadeveon Clowney, rams his head in the ground, right? Like, and then after that, I don't know, the following season, Fuge is right there when he gets benched. He was after that. It was 2017, 2018. He got messed up the knee. Foles hit lightning. Right. The following season, Clowney knocks him out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
We almost hit lightning in a bottle again. And the following season, like Food said, he was not. He never came back the same guy after that second go around. He just never was the same guy, and that's ultimately why he ended up getting benched for Jalen.
Mm-hmm.
So this team, this Eagles team, when it's all, and now it's all said and done, season's over, Super Bowl champions. Is this the best Eagles team ever? If now, because everybody will think for a second and stop. 2018, they won the Super Bowl too, but they didn't have the number 1 overall defense in the league.
Nope.
Their offense put up big numbers, but so did this offense. The O-line seemed even stronger. The D-line seemed way stronger. And now you go back to 1980 when they beat the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game at the Vet to make it to the Super Bowl. They lose. 2004, they play the Patriots and they lose now. And then you're on hiatus until the 2018 season. But watching this team this year, is this the best Eagles team you've ever watched? We got a lot of history here, but with you guys, best defense ever. Justin McNulty checking in.
I would say Dan Cilio had Ray Didinger on, I guess, during last week. And he said, I guess, going back to 48, 49, Greasy Neal during that, that was, they won back-to-back NFL titles in 48 and 49. But, it's, as Ray Didinger said, this definitely is the best Eagles team, in the modern day era, from top to bottom, because you had the number 1 defense, ranked number 1 defense since 1991. And, you went out, you brought in Saquon Barkley. You had A.J. Brown. You had Devontae Smith, Goddard. This team is stacked from top to bottom, young and old players.
Yeah.
When you go out and, just drop the hammer on a team that was talking about a dynasty and didn't even give the Philadelphia Eagles any damn respect. You just went out, smacked them in the mouth, took their damn lunch money, and kicked their ass up and down the field for 60 minutes. So, sorry for my rant, but I had.
Oh, I love it. No.
You just punched Mahomes right in the friggin' face. You sacked his ass 6 times, you picked them off. And that team just couldn't get nothing started.
That's the most Mahomes has ever been sacked in a game, period.
Right. And
is it 6 times?
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Excuse my language, but they kicked their ass up and down the field.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin McNulty, who checked in and best defense ever. He's a Ravens fan. That 2000 Ravens defense was one of the best all time.
Was amazing.
So he knows good defenses. He knows what he's talking about. And
Lewis Reed, amazing. Oh man,
the 91 Eagles defense was, statistically this defense is better. And for every, it's almost like for every player, with the exception, I believe, of Reggie White, for every player you could pull off that Eagles defense from 91, you put a comp for today's defense. I just don't think there's a Reggie White's. Lawrence Taylor, who was the best defensive player ever, said that Reggie White was the best defensive player that he's ever seen. So it's hard. Six sacks 6 times with no blitz, right? Yes, Justin. They did not blitz 1 time. It was all pressure from the front 4, which is mind blowing. That's how you beat a guy like Brady. I'm sorry, well, Brady too, but that's how you beat a guy like Mahomes. You don't, because if you blitz him, he's going to find the hole and he's going to pick you apart.
Yes.
And that's how you beat a guy like that.
Absolutely.
And it was really incredible to watch. And this will be kind of the last time we really break down this for this for this season, and then we'll get back to the reality of what the Flyers and the Sixers are doing. I've basically avoided that for the last 2 months because
have you guys watched any of the?
Yeah, I know what you're going to say, and yes, I have.
Any of the playoffs?
USA
the All-Star break with the four things.
Yes.
Dude.
Now,
Dude.
now, 3 seconds or 2 seconds into the game, Kachuk is dropping gloves and fist fighting with one of the Canadians. It's great.
There was 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of that game. They get to play Thursday night again.
For Colorado
for number 1, number 2. USA versus
I'm not
Canada.
sure, Fooch. I'm not sure. Are they playing Canada?
Yeah.
Nice.
Tonight's game. There's a game tonight versus USA versus Finland, which doesn't mean anything.
National anthem is right, Norm.
Yeah. So they don't. So tonight's game doesn't mean anything. Thursday night, it's America versus Canada.
Go back to Can America.
Give me 1 second.
Bye, Alan. Thanks for being on the show.
What do you?
I like a season ticket holder flag back there. I never noticed that before. Now, Fooge, I'll start with you. Well, we got a few minutes left in the show here.
Who's going to start with now?
This is true. I can start with myself, but nobody cares about what I have to say. Now in the draft, if you're this team,
draft's 2 more months away.
Yep. If you're this team, where are you looking at? What are you looking to do in the draft?
Good question. I mean, here's another thing a lot of people aren't talking about. I mean, do they bring Darius Slay back? I mean, does he take a pay cut? Because I think if you're going to decide there, you better re-sign Isaiah Rodgers.
Agreed. Soon to be the 51st straight.
A lot of people don't really think about it.
Norm says that every game, Darius Slay is in the blue tent at least once. Every game.
Well,
yeah, but he plays amazing after he comes out that blue tent. I don't know what they give him.
They're probably reaching into the candy bowl.
I'm going to say, I don't know what they give him in that blue tent, but that boy plays good.
I don't know if you heard my comment, but the thing of it is, I don't know what Slay's going to make next coming season, but either he takes a pay cut or,
oh my God,
do they let him go? But I would bring Isaiah Rodgers back.
Yes.
Case.
Yeah.
Which you don't really hear much about, though.
Yeah, I've heard rumors. Slay talking about retirement.
Look,
I kind of hope he does retire. That just makes it easier on the Birds. You know what I mean? And then, like you said, move Rodgers up because Rodgers, he made an impact. When he had his chance.
This is probably the best secondary the Eagles have had depth in
20 years,
maybe even beyond that. I mean, let's not forget Kaylee Ringo. I mean, he could step. Him and Rodgers could probably step in and compete. And just to go back to what you said, Tom, I mean, I'm thinking now, like, really, what could they use? You're probably definitely going to use either a defensive end or tackle, and you might need a corner. And you're definitely going to need another offensive lineman if Beckham walks.
Yep.
Norm, you're out of pocket right now. Trade Dejean to Washington. No, sir.
Thanks for letting Howie trade up there, Norm.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
2 second-round picks in that. I forget what the third one was, but
the exciting whites.
Can I bring the rocket out now? No, Norm, you cannot now, sir. No moon landing, sir, please. But Alan, I was asking Fuji, who do they target in the draft now? Because you got a couple of months, and then we're in April and it's draft time.
Oh man, we're gonna pick so late, right in the first round. That
last pick.
So the kid going either. But if he's there, I take that corner / wide receiver from Colorado. Travis Hunter, is that his name? I don't think he's going to be there when we pick. But That's who I take. I take Travis Hunter if he's there.
So
You put him
you go
right
best available?
Was that?
You go best available then? You're not
Yeah, I just go best available.
Let me say this to you. Let's go back to 2018 after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Now, the Ravens traded up for number 2 picks to the Eagles. And Baltimore took Lamar Jackson, where the Eagles drafted 4 guys from 2018 because Al and I had Ed Kratz on from Sports Illustrated last week, Eagles beat writer. And he said, Baltimore took Lamar Jackson with that number, Eagles number 1 pick. The Eagles took Goddard, and then they took Avonte Maddox. And also in that draft, they drafted Josh Sweat, and they had Milton Williams. So they had four picks from the 2018 team that helped out, that contributed in this playoff run, or Super Bowl run, I should say.
Right.
But how do you know how he doesn't trade that first round out of the first round and just go back and get multiple draft picks like he did then?
Yeah,
which is
that's
a great
true.
analogy.
Norm was saying you'll have a higher pick. Howie will move up. There's always a chance of that too.
Well,
there is.
Now, hopefully, he'll recover from the concussion that he received during the parade from getting rocked in the forehead with a can of beer.
Who the hell threw that can of beer?
Yo, look,
Pretty sure it was my buddy Josh.
Howie's an office guy. He doesn't have the hands. He is not ready. He's not about that life.
Right.
He is not about that life.
Hey, man. Dude, he was walking around smoking that cigar, owning that cut on his head. I don't think it fazed him at all.
He definitely went home and was like looking in the mirror like, I'm a man.
Yeah, right.
I've
arrived. Howie needed to go into the blue tent after that.
Yeah, right. To make sure.
Al Fleet should have done evasive driving, Norm said. and then what? He rolls the bus into the crowd,
or dumps everybody on the top off the bus.
Well,
I know.
Well, that was on the back of the truck. Al was driving the bus.
Yeah. Wow. But I've watched. It was cool to watch people launching, like the guys who own Phillips Steaks were launching cheesesteaks and Eagles players on the bus.
Yes, I saw that. That was so cool, dude. That was so cool.
Now I threw a Miller Lite in 2018, and I can't remember who caught it, but we're talking one-handed full extension catch, and I was actually quite impressed. But I mean, I guess that's what these guys can pay millions of dollars to do. So
yeah, catch that beer.
But like I didn't take anything off that. I fired that son of a bitch.
Right.
So if somebody was just like Braun Shunk.
Yeah, so had he not caught it, the person on the other side of the bus had not been paying attention.
Somebody on the opposite side of Braun Shunk was getting rocked in the face with a full Miller Lite. But Howie, whoever threw that to him, they didn't loop it up. Because you could tell by the angle in which it came in. It didn't come in over the top. That thing zoomed and rocked him in the forehead.
Yes.
The evasive driving got me. That's pretty funny. That's pretty good.
Dump everybody.
Look, boys. It was a good recap show. Next week we'll get into, we'll start to kind of break into the Flyers, the Sixers. Sixers are doing not too hot this year. We'll be coming back from the All-Star break here. Hopefully we'll have a little USA hockey to talk about, and certainly some pitchers and catchers. It'll be nice. I'm looking forward to the warm weather now. I'm done with the cold. The Schuylkill County cold just hits a little different than Delco and Philly cold. Not too much.
No, not too much.
Yeah, enough to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, there you
go. Up there, we don't want it here. I don't want it here in Philly. I'm over it.
No.
I'm done with snow. I'm done with the winter.
I'm ready for flip flops and shorts and courts. That's what I'm ready for.
Yep.
Well, listen, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Thank you to everybody who jumped in on the text line. Norm Row Phillies. Absolutely. That's what we're looking to get into next week for sure. But for Mike Fuji, for Alan Angelcavich, for Will Lynn, who couldn't be on the night, had some stuff going on, I'm Tom Kelly. This is Pattison Ave Phanatics Show, and we're out of here.
And Willie bringing the fight. Fuji's got stories to make your night. With Alice, take sharp as a knife. We're rocking out and heading up the scene. Sports fanatic dreams extreme. From the Eagles' pride to Phillies' dream. Stay tuned and your screen turns green.